Hello and welcome to today's video. It has officially been 1 year since my endometriosis surgery, so I thought we could do a little recap of the last year. How has my body been? How has my mental health been? How is my endo doing? And are there any future plans for my endo? So I'm going to be really honest and vulnerable and raw in this because I know when I am looking up other people going through endometriosis, it's so that I don't feel alone. So I'm looking for that honesty and vulnerability. So that's what we're gonna do. So grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's dive right in. Okay, so if you're new here, I had my endometriosis surgery last year and I got diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. So for me, I had 2 chocolate cysts on each side and one in the middle. My ovaries were twisted up together by adhesions, and then I have remaining endo on my colon and on my diaphragm. So stage 4 is the most severe form of endometriosis. So it comes with a lot of fun things. Post-surgery, I did start taking birth control. I'm taking the Northern, I believe it's called. Prior to surgery, I had actually been off of birth control for 2 years, and it was a really hard decision on whether to take birth control or not post-surgery. And I ultimately decided that because I had stage 4, and because there's still endo remained in my body that they couldn't get to, that birth control was going to be the best way to maintain my pain. And for the most part, it has. I did start getting flare-ups again in September, which honestly is pretty early because it's only 2 months post my surgery. They weren't massive, and they definitely weren't at the pain level they were at prior to surgery, but they were still starting to show up again, which was concerning because I decided to take birth control to limit this. But it is a hard balance of, but would it be worse without it? That's a hard battle to have. I had my first major flare-up at the end of November, and it was awful. I was at work. I was only 2 months into this job, and I had to call for a bathroom break. During nap times, I was by myself. I had to call for a bathroom break, go in there, and I had one of the worst flare-ups. My stomach was cramping so bad, and for me, I get that squeezing pain. My intestines were just being squeezed and strangled. It's awful. I had that. I was getting the sweats, but also the shivers, having to grip the wall as best I could, whatever I could grab to hold on to. Worst pain. And then was shuffling, walking, and I had to be sent home. So getting that 4 months post-surgery was definitely not what I anticipated to happen, and it was definitely hard to process, I guess is the right word, because I was hoping I'd have surgery and it would all go away and everything would be better, and it's clear that it's not, because while yes, my pain level is lower, significantly lower than what it was, I am still having those random flare-ups that are debilitating pain. Since then, I've definitely had a couple occasional flare-ups. I've only had a few more as big and as painful as that one happen. I've had a lot of little ones where it gets really bad, I have these bad moments, and then it quickly fades away shortly after, which is what you want. And I feel like I have been having a lot of stress-induced flare-ups recently. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a flare-up and I had that pinching pain in my shoulder, which I hadn't had happen to me since before surgery. So I had the pinching pain in my shoulder and then the sciatic pain down my leg, which made it really hard to stand up straight for very long. It made it hard to walk, and having that happen again was really hard because those pains specifically started happening about a year before I had surgery. When my endo was starting to get to its absolute worst is when I started having the pinching pain in my shoulder and the sciatic pain in my leg. So the fact that that happened again, not even a year after surgery, is a really hard thing to swallow. So that is kind of the pain levels and the symptoms reappearing that I've had over the last year. Like I said before, it is definitely not as severe or as painful as it was prior to surgery, but I am starting to get a lot of the symptoms I had before, which I'm not gonna lie, it's not a great feeling. You want to and you hope for everything to be better after surgery, and that's not always the case. And especially for me, because I still have endo in me. Not everything was taken out. Everything around my uterus was taken care of and removed, but I still have endo on my colon and on my diaphragm. They weren't able to get to it because of how sensitive those body parts are, and they didn't feel comfortable removing the endo from those areas. So I actually am supposed to see I think a colonoscopy, not a colonoscopist, it's a colon, whatever they're called. They want me to see one of those doctors because if I were to get surgery to remove the endo from those areas, it would have to be one of those surgeons. And I actually, after my major flare back in November, I did call and make an appointment with someone, but then I learned that the doctor was an old white man. And I'm sure he would have done a good job, but I just have a hard enough time with women taking me seriously with endometriosis that I didn't want to have to battle an old white man. So I canceled it, and then I just never rescheduled it, and mostly because I'm just afraid of having another surgery because it wouldn't be a laparoscopic surgery, and it scares me. Okay, so now on to the really vulnerable part of this video. So with stage 4 endometriosis, you have a higher risk of infertility issues, and that has always been one of my biggest fears around endometriosis. I have known I had endometriosis. My mom, my grandma, my great grandma all have it. And when I started having problems and showing the symptoms, like there was no doubt in my mind that I had it. I just needed to find a doctor to take me seriously enough to do the surgery and diagnose me. At the same time, you never expect to have the most severe form of something. So when I found out I had stage 4 endometriosis, that was really hard to process. And one of the big things is that a lot of my friends are at that stage in their lives where they are having babies, and it became a very vulnerable time for me because I'm seeing my friends achieve this goal of theirs of growing their family and carrying their babies and being able to deliver healthy babies. And I'm so proud of my friends, every single one of them. And I got in a really negative mental space where we would go to a friend's house with their almost 1-year-old daughter, and I couldn't be there in their house without having to excuse myself to the bathroom to cry, because here I am playing with our friend's daughter, not knowing if I will be able to carry my own children one day. And it got really bad. And around December, I was doing a lot of research about fertility with endometriosis and everything, and I found an article that said that you have a higher chance of getting pregnant the year following surgery for endometriosis. Your body is reset, and so even if you have stage 4, or especially if you have stage 4, your chances are better that year after surgery. And so me and my husband did a whole bunch of research on this. We made a doctor's appointment. We spoke to a doctor about it, and it didn't really fully confirm or deny, but was just kind of yeah, that makes sense. Your body and your uterus and everything's reset. You could. And they had told us that if we wanted to start trying to, stop taking my birth control and to try for, I think 4 months is what they told us. And if nothing happens within that 4 months, to reach out to a fertility specialist to look into getting testing or to do IVF. And 4 months is crazy because the normal time span they tell a couple is a year. And that was kind of hard to hear, that it's not even half the time of someone without endo. And so the idea that it could be easier, we decided we were going to try. So that day, I quit taking my birth control. I started learning how to track ovulation and all these things. And I think 2 months in, it was actually when we booked our trip to Italy. That was the end of February, beginning of March, I believe. We were so excited for our trip and so excited of where we have positioned and put ourselves to be able to buy these tickets to go on a trip that we really want to do, and to book the Airbnbs, and getting excited about the excursions and what we're going to do and what we're going to see. And we kind of just had this moment where we were like, this isn't the right time. And that was also kind of a really hard decision to make, because we're like, we could have a higher chance. Nothing has happened in the last 2 months, very short time, but we could have a higher chance of getting pregnant now because I'm not even a year post surgery. So we could have a higher chance now, and we are financially stable, and we are mentally ready, and all of these things. But the plan with me and him was always to have kids a little bit later. And being diagnosed with stage 4 made me feel like I needed to try now. Because what if I wait until I'm 30, I'm 32, 34, and I have a very hard time because of my diagnosis, and it pushes it back even more? Like, it's a really hard thing to process and make a decision on. And ultimately we decided that it's more than likely we're going to need help getting pregnant. Hopefully not. The goal is to not have to do IVF, but if we're told to only try for 4 months and then go that route, we would rather do that later in life. And also, like, if I'm going to be needing a second surgery to remove the endo that's still in my body, like, I definitely want to do that surgery before we try to have kids. Like, I want to, obviously, when we're trying for kids, I'm going to be off of birth control, and I'm going to be fully experiencing my endo in its raw form again. And I wasn't ready for that, because those 2 months where I wasn't taking birth control and I was on my period, like, they were not kind. They definitely weren't as bad as before my surgery, but they definitely weren't great. And I wasn't ready to fully experience my period again to its full extent, especially with there being endo still in my body. So that was a very hard, like, mentally and emotionally and physically hard few months. And I know anyone who does have endo knows that the topic of fertility is very touchy. And I would say that I feel like now, because we've made that decision to wait and we're trying to, plan vacations, plan where we want to travel and everything, I'm in a much better mental state now in regards to my friends having babies and doing the whole motherhood thing. I am definitely in a much better place, which is really nice, because I really want to be there for the women in my life and not feel this pit in my stomach. And I don't anymore. So that's good. So that is basically how the last year has gone for me. I feel like it's been a weird year, because, I've had flare-ups here and there, flare-ups that I can't explain, and, having to explain it to new people in my life, and having to call for someone at work to give me a bathroom break, and they walk in and I'm like bent over and like grabbing my stomach in so much pain, and they'd be like, you really should like call a doctor and get this figured out. I literally had someone at work tell me that, and I was like, yeah, I did have the surgery to try to help with this. And so I definitely feel in a weird spot, because I know that there are people who, like, the surgery didn't help for them at all, and there are people who have been miraculously better, and I feel like I am in that middle spot where it didn't not work for me, but it didn't fully take everything away. So I feel I don't know how to feel. I feel very vulnerable. So what's next for me in my endo? I don't know. I know I need to see the doctor to talk about my colon and diaphragm, and possibly get another surgery lined up, and kind of go from there and just try to do the things that I can do and control to try to manage my flare-ups when they do happen, but they come so randomly that it's kind of hard. So anyways, if you have endometriosis, or you are waiting for surgery, if you feel like you have endometriosis but don't know where to start, if you are post-surgery and you're going through all of these things, just know that you are not alone. You are never alone. Endometriosis is isolating, and it is vulnerable, and it is hard to explain to people who don't have it. And it is hard to explain any aspect of it, whether the pain, the diagnosis timeline, the infertility, the mental and emotional and the physical hardships that come with it. I know it is hard to talk about it and hard to explain it to the people around you. And so that's why I try to share as much as I can here with all of you, because I know what it's like to feel alone and scared and vulnerable and misunderstood. I know what that's like, and here to remind you that you are not alone, and you are brave, and you are strong, and you are wonderful, and you are fantastic. That is what the last year has looked like for me with my endometriosis. Obviously, everyone's journey is different. Everyone's endo story looks different. And if me sharing what the last year post-surgery has looked like has helped you in any way, then it was worth it. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about endometriosis, please comment down below. I would love to answer any questions I can about endo. Obviously, I am not a doctor or a medical professional, but just someone who is living with endometriosis. I would love to answer any questions you may have, if no matter where you're at in your journey, or if you are also post-surgery, let me know how you are doing. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.